What's up, everybody? This is Bree from Young, Saved, and Free, and I'm back with this week's devotional. Before we get into it, for everybody that's new here, hey y'all, how y'all doing? For everybody that's been here, welcome back. And everybody, make sure you're part of the family. So go ahead and subscribe to my channel by clicking the subscribe button down below and hit that notification bell so you never miss another video from me. I've had like a bunch of videos this week, it seems like. Well, I've had to upload the same videos a bunch of times. And make sure you're subscribed to my mailing list. That way you never miss out on anything that's going on with your girl. So, a lot of stuff coming up and you just don't want to miss it. Before we get into the devotional, also, tell you about my shirt. It says More Jesus, Less Issues. And I got it from Run From Sin. And it is from my girl, Markeisha. Hey, girl. And I'm going to go ahead and link that in the bio, not the bio, in the description box below. Yeah, I'm sorry. These dogs are barking like crazy. I don't know what the problem is. But, I've been down here in Thomasville for about a month now. Yeah, I don't know what they're going through. Sorry, y'all. I've been in Thomasville for like a month now. And for a while, I've been in the season where I just kind of want to be to myself. Like, I'm kind of blocked off from everybody. I don't really interact with a lot of people. Like, I talk to my aunt and my cousin when they're here. Like, my cousin, I help him with his homework and stuff, and then talk to my aunt when she's here sometimes. But for the most part, I'm pretty much to myself. Like, I don't really interact with a lot of people. I've been thinking a lot. Like, I just think and think. And so I just haven't had a lot of energy to spend with people. I don't have it. So, I guess what I'm trying to say is it's okay for you to be alone sometimes, for you to just not to be away from people and to separate yourself from people. And I know this is starting to sound like Blessing of Loneliness again. And if you haven't watched that, go ahead and click this eye up here so you can watch it, whichever side it's going to be on. Forget which side it goes on. But whatever side it's going to be on, just watch it. And then you can go back to this one. Or you can watch this one first and then watch that one. Whatever you want to do. But this is not Blessing of Loneliness. This is going to be called The Cutoff. And, sometimes you have to remember it's okay to cut people off for a season and to just deal with some things. And for me, I know for me personally, especially when I was in like school, I was the friend that I was around a lot. Like, everybody would see me. But there was times where you just wouldn't see me from time to time, for like a number of days or something, because I just had to get that time to myself to get myself together. And I've never really been one to have a lot of people around me, but that's kind of why I had to separate myself sometimes, because I get overwhelmed when I'm around too many people too long. So I like my space. So like sometimes when I go through things, I have to step away for a minute, because I don't want to bleed onto somebody else, if that makes sense. And so even though I love my friends, I love them with all my heart. Even if I don't talk to them like that, I genuinely love them. I sometimes have too much pride to say, hey, I'm going through this, I need some help. I just separate myself. And it's okay to do that. Like I said, it's okay to just cut people off from time to time. Not that it's that's a bad cutoff like that. That's different. But, and it's something that when I started looking at the Bible, I was like, wow, that's in the Bible too. Like, one of the first things that God took me to was Jesus. And of course, we should always start with Jesus. I mean, He is the author and finisher of our faith, right? Like, let's just start with Him. So, I'm going to go to Matthew 26, verses 36 to 41. I'm listening to Jesus going to the Garden of Gethsemane. Gethsemane. That is a really hard word for me to say. And so, when I looked at it, I was like, well, there's a few reasons why I think Jesus had to go into the garden alone. First of all, before they even went to the garden, Jesus just told them, somebody's going to betray me. Peter, you're going to deny me like 3 times. And he just told, I'm getting ready to die, but I'll be back. Like, y'all chill out. I'll be back. Like that. It was a lot for them to take in. And so even when he took Peter, James, and John with him, I already know, to me, if I was Peter, I would be like looking a little bit crazy. I'm like, yo, this is like one of my best friends and he getting ready to die. Like, we've been with him this long and he getting ready to leave us. Like, how am I supposed to feel? How am I supposed to? And he said, I'm going to deny him. Like, why would I deny him? Like, I love him. He the one that let me walk on water, and he the one that, I told him that I believe he's the son of the living God, and he's like, why would I deny him? Like, I know if I was Peter, that I would have like 1,000,001 things going through my head. And you just, and the thing about it, I think what they weren't understanding is that they've been with Jesus up until that point, but sometimes with some friendships, they can't go with you everywhere. Like, sometimes it just can't be, you can't just be with me in every season that I go in. And I know for me personally, me and my best friends, my former best friends, we no longer speak, and that's okay. I'm okay with that. I'm fine with that, because I knew that it was coming, even though I wasn't sure how it was going to come about. Like, I kept saying, God, I need peace, I need peace, I need peace, I need peace. And that's when all things went awry with us. But I was at peace about it. Like, I'm fine. I don't need to talk to them. Most times you would think, like, when people say you lost your best friend, you think people crying their eyes out. I'm cool, calm, and collected. I don't need them. I don't have to be around them. It's fine. Like, I don't have to. You don't have to talk to them every single day. I'm okay. The cutoff was for my purpose. It was so that I could pursue my purpose. So, like, in the Garden of Gethsemane, Jesus was really going through. And I just talked about this in my live earlier today. Jesus was struggling with his purpose. He came to earth to die. Like, to die and to rise again. Like, that was his sole purpose. Well, not his only purpose, but that was one of the biggest things that he had to do while he was on this earth. And so, some people just won't understand. So, like, my friends, they didn't understand what was going on. They was like, Munch is acting weird, whatever. Like, whatever. Cool. Go. Like, I don't really need you. You can go. Whatever. But with Jesus, it was like nobody, even though they knew he was the son of the living God, in order for them to really understand that, they weren't going to understand what was about to happen. And so God was doing the unthinkable. And Jesus, and it was like, you know what? I have to go. I'm really struggling with this, and I'm not in a place where I feel like I need to explain myself to you, or explain why I'm feeling this way, or why you can't go with me into this place, because what I'm about to do is bigger than all of us. So even still, even when it seems like we're in a place of weakness, God's strength is made perfect in our weakness. And he was struggling, even though he was struggling, his strength was made perfect in that moment. And so I always wondered when I was reading this, what was going through his mind, because he had been with these disciples so long, and it's like, yo, I gotta leave them. All right. But nobody, like, I just don't think that they will understand. But even if they don't understand, they can still cover you. And that's what Jesus was asking them to do. Hey, he said, hey, I'm about to go pray for a little bit, but I need y'all to pray with me from back there. I need to go do this by myself, but you can still cover me. And that's what your friends are supposed to do. They're supposed to cover you. And so even when you're separated and you're not around them, you can still cover them in prayer. And so the funny thing is that when Jesus got done with prayer, he came back out and they were sleeping. And it it seemed like Jesus seemed kind of upset about it. But again, they don't understand the weight of his assignment. So of course, they may take it lightly. Sometimes your friends won't understand the assignment that's on your life. And so even when you be like, hey, I need y'all to cover me in prayer, they'll be like, say a quick prayer, and then that be it. But I'm like, yo, I really need y'all to pray. Like, but I'm glad that Jesus didn't wait on them. Because what if he would have waited on them to fulfill his purpose? All of us would have been out of here. Because listen, there's some stuff that I did a long time ago. There's some stuff that I did a couple days ago that would have had me out of here, like on a slope ball to hell and gasoline draws with matches between my toes. Like, it was. Oh, I'm gonna sound real country. Oh Jesus. But that, your purpose does not depend on them. Your purpose does not depend on whether or not your friends are there with you. It depends on whether or not they'll pray for you. It depends on you. It depends on your spirit being willing. It depends on you being obedient. And so sometimes for you to really be obedient, you got to take a step away and really deal with what you're feeling and say, God, not my will, but your will be done. And so you just have to be willing to do whatever it takes to fulfill that purpose, even if that means cutting off those people. And so sometimes you can be like Jesus, or you can be like Moses. Moses, on the other hand, Moses was preparing for his purpose his whole life and didn't even know. Like my auntie for the last, and if y'all didn't know, she is my pastor, so follow her on Instagram, sharon.d.edwards. Yes, I'm working on her Instagram and it looks amazing. I was so excited. But she also has a TV show that comes on Friday at 5:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Now Network, and it's called Faith to Faith with Sharon. Just to enter the shameless plug here.
I have great expectations today.
Faith to faith, 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 faith to faith with Sharon.
I've got faith.
But now that we're back from the commercial break, Moses, the thing with Moses is he was so conflicted in who he was raised to be and who he actually was. Like, Moses was raised Egyptian, but was actually Hebrew. And I think that's why it bothered him. Like, even though he didn't know he was Hebrew, it bothered him to see the Israelites being treated that way, because that was part of his heart. It was already in him. It was already in him. Like, how can I say this? My family is from St. Petersburg, Florida, and there was a boy that died there recently from a football injury. And my heart went out to his mother immediately, because I already know what she was expecting from him, because St. Pete's not one of the places you get out of, even though I don't know her. But she's from the same place where my family's from, and I know that struggle. So my heart went out to her. I was emotional for her. And so Moses was going through the same thing. He was emotional. He was really into it because of the Hebrews that were the Hebrew blood that flowed through his veins. And so it wasn't like his life just wasn't balanced. And that's why he had to do what he had to do in Exodus 2. So if you go to Exodus 2 verses 11 through 15, he ended up killing somebody because they were hurting the Israelites. And my aunt, I'm sorry, this is what I was supposed to talk about when I was talking about my aunt. She has been teaching us on vision for since I've been here, honestly, it's like the last month. And your vision is made up your burden, like what bothers you, like what genuinely bothers you. Like, for me, one of the things that bothers me, and this is not the same thing as the situation I was talking about before, but one of the things that bother me is the misconception of domestic violence. I don't like when people talk, like when people are like, she's stupid if she's saying, he been putting his hand, like, I cannot stand it because they don't know. And so the other thing is your other thing your vision is made up is your past and your experiences. So I've witnessed people, in abusive relationships. I know a lot of people that have been in abusive relationships. My experience in an abusive relationship, all that comes together. And also my past, I've worked for defects where I had to deal with domestic violence all the time. So like that, all of that worked, even though I wasn't working for defects at the time when I was going through my abusive relationship, all that stuff was building and building and building for me to get to a place where I have to fulfill my purpose. And so with Moses, He was born Hebrew. One thing that his burden was, he didn't like how the Israelites were treated. He was born Hebrew. He killed somebody to protect the Hebrews. Like that alone is just his purpose coming out. He didn't even know. And so sometimes, we get to a place where it's like, the things that we were and who we are just don't mesh anymore. So like for me, another purpose I have to fulfill is what I'm doing here with you all. So who I was in 2010 when I went down to Valdosta State University, even before then, that same girl cannot be right here. She cannot. Like that girl, no, absolutely not. No, she can't be here. And so Moses, he was conflicted because it was like, who I am and who I was, it doesn't go well. I can't be Hebrew and Egyptian and not take sides. So when he did what he did, he had to take a step all the way back. He cut himself off. He cut his past off. He cut the Egyptians off because it was not going to be conducive to him fulfilling his purpose. And so Moses, he just couldn't stay in their company no more. And so it just did not fit. And so if his purpose was to free the Israelites, who gave the Egyptians that superiority feeling that they had, he couldn't be there. Like it wasn't gonna make sense. And even when you're building your purpose, pursuing your purpose, sometimes the things that tempt you, most of the time, when you're in the actual pursuit of it, the things that tempt you can't be around you. That's like an alcoholic that's in AA trying to recover, sitting at a bar. It's not conducive to your healing process. It's not going to work that way. And so what Moses did, he went to Midian and he changed he had to change his entire surroundings because there's no way possible that I can continue to think about freeing the Israelites. And I got all this stuff going around me. The Egyptians think this about them and think that about them. And then I have to look at it like I need to step away so that I can get my mind right. So even though he had to, I'm sorry. I gotta take a break real quick. But do y'all know the song Mind Right by, is it K Camp? I had to lead it alone and keep my mind right. That's literally what's going through my head right now. Because literally Moses had to leave the Egyptians alone to get his mind right so that he could do what he had to do. And so for sometimes, like when I went home to Augusta for 3 years, I had to take an R&R. A lot of people call that rest and relaxation. The R&R is rest and refill. Okay? Like God had to fill him up. God had to talk to Moses in Midian when he was at the burning bush so that he could fulfill his purpose. Now, like I said, you could be like Jesus, you could be like Moses, or you could be like Jonah. Okay? So Jonah is a little bit different, okay? He is what happens when you don't cut yourself off from people. So, sometimes people can just be really toxic to you, right? So, like, I talked about this in the Tuesday talk. I was dealing with this guy who I had known for like half my life, and God was just when I first started dating him, I was like, God, I know he my husband because he's been around for this long, and it's like best friends then lovers, and now we live together, and like yes, like it was in my mind, but I was like, yes, Lord, he is my husband, and I, whatever we have to go through, Lord, just make it right, because I can't go through another heartbreak. And so I remember sometime after that, God said, he is a cancer to your life. I don't know why you keep picking him up. He is not good for you at all. So cut him off. And I was like, no. And I was like, okay, God, I'm going to try. So I tried to explain to him why we could not be together anymore. after we had already broke up one time before, and then we kind of reconnected. When I tried to explain, he was like, no. He's like, whatever's going, like, literally, when we would get together, everything would go wrong. Like, literally everything. And so I would just, like, he had lost custody of his son, he had lost his job, got kicked out of his place, all kind of, like, stuff would just happen back to back to back. And I would be like, God, I don't know what to do, like, help me, because I don't understand, and I'm trying to be there for him. But then God was like, I showed you the favor you had in somebody else's life. This is not your husband. That's why this is happening like this. He's toxic to you. And no, I'm not going to allow any of your favorites to run off into his life. And the thing with Jonah is, if you go to Jonah 1 verses 1 through 13, Jonah's disobedience was causing everything around him, everyone around him, to be in a storm. Not because they all did something, but because he did something. And I'm like, sometimes when you know, like, when you know God is telling you something and you refuse to do it, and you just be like, I'm not doing it. It will get you, you think you'll be overwhelmed just by the thought of actually doing that, but the thought of what God's going to do because you were disobedient, I don't want those problems. Like, I can do bad by myself. I can mess my life up real good on my own. I don't want God to throw another storm into that. Like, nah, I don't want those problems. Like, I don't want those problems. So, like, and the thing is, we act like God can't make us do stuff. Like, we can either go on our own and just be like, okay, you know what? I'm going to suck it up. Even though I don't really want to do this, I'm going to do it anyway because God told me to do it. Or you can go kicking and screaming. And so, with Jonah, he ended up having to be thrown off the boat because he was causing so much stuff. He had to be cut off because he was too much. He was bleeding onto other people. And that's what I was talking about earlier when I said when I started going through stuff, I had to kind of reel it in, take myself out, because I don't want to bleed on other people. And so I don't want to bring all my baggage with me and then get connected to other people, because bad company corrupts good character. And on top of that, what if they're not in agreement with me? And how can we walk together? How can we be connected if we're not agreed? And so Jonah was doing more than just walking with them. He was on the boat with them. Like, you can't bring your issues into a place where people are stranded and have them in a place where they're stranded and have them in a place where they don't know if they're going to live or die because you didn't deal with your issues. You didn't take the time out for yourself to deal with your issues. And so that's why God had to isolate him in the belly of the fish. I was going to say the whale, but y'all know it's a fish. And so God had to take Jonah out before Jonah self-destructed. And so sometimes with us, period, point blank period, we have to take the time out for ourselves. And so with guiding goals, for example, I don't even know why I'm talking about this or how I even got to this topic, but we've been talking about self-care for the life coaching portion. And so, you have to take out time for yourself, but you also have to take out time for yourself to deal with those toxic behaviors and deal with those things that are not conducive to your purpose. I can't be a generational curse breaker if I don't break the curse in me first. I cannot speak to people about deliverance if I'm not delivering first. You just can't do it. You cannot do it. And that's why the Bible says to whom much is given, much is required, because this is a lot. That cutoff season is a lot. That transformation is a lot. But you have to do it because there are some other things that are required of you. And I hope that you all will be encouraged during your process. And if you have any questions or anything like that, you can leave them in the comments below. You can email me. You can DM me. You can do all of that. But definitely be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you all in the next video. And I love you all so much. And thank you so much for watching. Bye.